Hello, and welcome back to the Pure Nintendo Podcast. This is your weekly dose of all things Nintendo. My name is Jemma, and joining me this week, I have the catchy Kirk. Welcome back, Kirk.
Hi. Let's go.
Hi.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We're back for another week of all things Nintendo. We have a lot to talk about. It's a very full list, actually. We've got some new trailers, shadow drops, games we're playing, and we're going to continue our countdown, of course, to the Switch Direct, which is now 7 weeks away. Do you feel like this is coming quickly, or do you feel like it's actually a slow? Like, does it seem like a long way away, or does it seem like it's coming fast here? How do you
There are
feel
two
about it?
things affecting this for me.
Yeah.
First being, I got Xenoblade Chronicles X coming before this, so
Mm-hmm.
that's what my countdown clock is set to, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
focused on.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Second is it's weird, like counting down to a direct, because it almost feels like I'm counting down to the system's release, and that's not the case. But
Yeah.
like I'm getting excited about just learning about when it's going to come.
Yes.
So it's weird and kind of leaving me a bit disjointed. But
Yes.
yeah,
Well,
I will wake up that morning absolutely ready to go.
oh yeah, for sure. I hope listeners aren't feeling too just disjointed. I'm just super excited about the countdown. Sorry, the direct itself, obviously, and it does. I thought the same thing because every week I write the notes up for the show, and I write, this week I wrote 7 weeks to go. It feels like we're counting down to the Switch 2, which obviously we're not. We don't have a release date yet. We're
Yeah.
counting down to the direct, which will, we assume, give us a release date. I would be very surprised if it didn't. We'll talk about release dates later. This week we're going to talk, because every week we're going to talk about one feature of the direct, or the system that we hope will be revealed in the direct. And excuse my throat today. I'm a little pitchy. Um, but this week we're going to talk about the price. And we've sort of dabbled in this space before, before the sort of teaser came out in January. But I thought we would revisit it because there's been a bit of online chatter about the price of the Switch 2 during the week. And I mean, remind me what your stance on this was, because were you on the kind of the side of things that said it was going to be super expensive, or where was your ballpark figure in your head? Like, what was your thought? Like, the releasing the Switch 2, I assume it will be this. What do you think?
I don't know if did I have an opinion. I think my only thought would be that they will not charge more than 500 for it.
Hmm.
I don't think they'll even go that high.
Yeah.
I can't remember, what did we pay for the Switch?
Well, I think it did a little bit of research last night, because I'm not the one who remembers these things like Trev and Justin seem to do, and they're not with us this week. But I believe it was 300 at launch in US dollars.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
and
that was without the OLED. That was the initial one that came
yes,
out. Now the new Switch is still, or the Switch 2, I guess we can call it that now officially, right?
yeah,
Um, the rumors are that that's not going to have an OLED screen. They're going back. That to me is an indicator that they don't want the price to go too high. So I would think probably around 450.
yeah, okay, yeah. I tend to like, it will be more than the Switch. It'll be more than 300. I think we can safely assume that, because the Switch came out in 2017. It's now 2025. Inflation, whatever.
Yeah.
But I do agree that Nintendo generally like to keep the price as low as possible, and I think the
Yeah.
OLED is a really good point, because they, presumably they've made that decision because they want to keep it down. They want to keep it as affordable as possible, just because they want people to buy it. And 500, whatever, $400 is a lot of money for a lot of people. Of course, we will go out and buy it anyway, day one.
Yeah.
Um, so the talk that's been online has been someone apparently at Best Buy, and I don't, just take this with a grain of salt. I don't always believe these rumors or these so-called leaks, but they were saying that it was a Canadian price, which was 500 Canadian dollars, which equates to about 350 US. Now, of course, prices aren't always necessarily just converted across regions. I think, if I look at the Australian launch price versus the US launch price, I don't think it exactly converted into Australian and US dollars, for example. Um, but it's a ballpark. So I think maybe we're looking, if this is true, which we don't know, then I'd say it's between 350 and 400. I think 350 maybe is a little cheap. I don't know. But yeah. So there's a window there, I would think. So you're saying up to 450 maybe. People are saying as low as 350. reckon it might be somewhere in the middle, about 400, something like that. That would be
Yeah.
my guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. I think when I say 450, I think that's the max that they would be
Mm-hmm.
willing to take on. Again, I say
Yeah.
that not knowing about how much storage space it's going to have.
Mm-hmm.
There are other things that could factor into it, and maybe, hopefully, they will release different iterations of it. So
Mm-hmm.
you can get one with smaller storage, and whatever else they would be able to kind of like pull back on a little bit on an we'll call it an entry model.
Mm-hmm.
Although it would just be lower specs, I suppose. Give us a choice. Let us, if we could pay more and want higher things, in the box, then
Yeah.
hopefully they let us do it. It would be great if they did that with an OLED model, but I don't think they would, because that's an easy thing to tack on in 2 or 3 years when
Yeah.
you want to get a little bit more money, sales from people who already bought the first one and are willing to double
Mm-hmm.
dip.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing you do, is improve the screen. So
Yes,
I would expect that
exactly.
to come down the road.
Yeah, totally agree. I think you know what, I think you're potentially correct about the different iterations. 350, there could be a 350 model. That's maybe a base model that has much lower. I don't know about specs exactly, but definitely like space, I suppose, in terms of you know hard drive space, whatever you call it on the Switch. It's not, you know what I mean. How much room there is for like data in terms of
Yeah.
gigabytes, whatever it is. And so maybe there's a bigger model. Probably there would be, I would imagine, 2 models at least. I think that's the case. Usually, like, there were 2 Wii U models. Were there 2 Switches at launch? We have a choice in terms of storage space? I don't remember. Was it just the
I don't
one?
remember either.
Yeah, okay.
I know you
Trev?
could get different colored Joy-Con, but that was
Mm.
that was just a cosmetic thing, right? It wasn't like one of them also
Yeah.
came with this or that.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So, yes, excellent points. I assume you and I would probably go for the bigger model because we need a lot of space on our Switch too. Being, reviewers, we download a lot of games, don't we? And especially when you're playing games like Xenoblade Chronicles, which are big games, right?
Yeah.
Although you
Yeah,
you would,
although, yeah, that one I'm gonna get the,
yeah, that's true.
what did we decide we call that? Not a cartridge, a card?
Oh,
Are we referring
card.
to them as cards?
Card? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. The physical. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah.
That's true. Doesn't take up your 20 gigabytes, whatever it is.
Yeah. Although I don't do, there are other very large games I don't buy, I get for review and put them on,
Mhm.
but it's usually
Yeah.
easy to clear those out.
Yes, it is exactly. That's right. Cool. So yeah, I think, obviously we'll see in 7 weeks' time what the price is like. We'd love listeners' opinions, what you think is a fair price for a Switch 2, how much you're willing to pay, what do you think it is? The other thing is I just don't know that I believe this rumor because I've seen in Australia, for example, on the EB website, which is Electronics Boutique is what it stands for, but EB Games is the big gaming franchise here. And occasionally on their website they'll have, when something's announced in a direct, but it doesn't have a price, like a game in particular, it'll be listed on their site and it'll have a price, even though we don't know the price. And they're kind of just guessing the price, or they're putting in kind of a stand-in price until the actual price is revealed, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I do wonder if this is the case with this Best Buy leak, whatever you want to call it. It's just a stand. It's just a
It
temporary thing that they put in to make room for it, but they have no idea how much it actually costs themselves, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be the case. Although, like, do they do that with all products? Like, you would think that there's just a default price, and this price
Mm,
means nothing, and we're going to enter this in here as our obvious default
mhm,
until we know what the price actually is.
mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
exactly. That's what I think anyway. So, well, let's move on to the news of the week if we're done with prices, unless you have anything else to add.
And one other thought, and this will make me
Sure.
sound, I don't know how this will make me sound, but
Let's
if
find
we
out
do,
together.
it's always the best way to find out, in the presence of others. If they do release at 350, I hope they really, really have an impressive stock ready to go, because that price is
Mm,
really low. Um,
mhm,
and I think that's going to make it much more enticing to everybody else. If they don't
mm.
have a gigantic stock of this ready to go, I wouldn't mind with them charging a little bit more, because I'm an old, I can afford it.
Mhm.
So, like, I said, don't know what that makes me sound like. There are a bunch of people out there who would love a system and are going to have a hard time hitting 350. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that was my selfish thought.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's what is that? I did very little economics at school, but I know there's that demand
Supply
versus
and demand.
yeah,
Yeah.
supply and demand, right? Yeah. So we've seen that before with the Wii and even the Switch. There was the demand was very high, and so the supply couldn't keep up with it. Um, yes, lower price will probably increase the demand, and therefore you need more supply to deal with that. So
Yeah.
yes, very
And
interesting.
that's the absolutely the best case scenario. Of course, I would want to spend 350 if I can, and I want everybody to get it in their hands because
Hmm.
this is going to be great, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly, exactly.
come through for us, Nintendo, make it happen.
Yes, I hope so. We've been waiting so long. I want to say patiently, but we haven't been that patient. A lot of us. But hopefully this is because they've been stockpiling. They've been getting it all ready in the background, making sure they have a lot. Everything's ready for everyone. And we'll talk about release dates at some point as well. But given that the direct is in April, since they teased us in January, we're hoping it's a quick release after that. So even though we're counting down to the direct, hopefully we're also somewhat counting down to the release. We'll just add on like 2 or 4 weeks to this countdown. See how we go.
And I also wonder when they do announce the price, they're probably going to have to drop the price of the Switch and the Switch Lite,
Mm-hmm.
right? To
True.
try to move those because otherwise nobody's buying one when they see one's
Yeah,
coming out. So
that's true.
I'll be curious to see what those drop to as well in an effort to clear those out.
Yeah, because they'll still have a whole bunch ready, waiting, I suppose, on the
Hmm.
shelves that they or in their warehouses, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, that's a really good point. I assume that's correct as well. Don't know what that would be. Maybe would it be 50, 100? I don't know, off the price, the existing price, maybe.
Yeah, I think it depends on where they come in at. If they do come in at 450 for the Switch, then they wouldn't need to drop the price of the Switch 2. They wouldn't need to drop the price of the Switch that much. But if they come in
Mhm.
at 350, then they're really going to have to create separation between the Switch 2 and the Switch
Yeah,
pricing. So,
yeah. Otherwise, you've got that situation. Who was it you said the other week about grandma at the shops buying the Switch One for the grandchild
yeah.
because it's a little bit cheaper. Like, yeah, exactly. Cool. Thank you. Well, let us know, listeners, what you think about the price. Let's move on to news of the week. We have a long list of items to talk about, including uh, the new release of Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider. Did I say Tomb Raider? Tomb Raider. There's a new Tomb Raider collection that's just hit the Switch today. Well, sorry, as of recording today, February the 14th, um, which is apparently Lara Croft's birthday. Did you know? Did you know this? I did not know.
I did. When they say birthday, do they mean that's when the first game came out, or within the Tomb Raider lore, Lara Croft
I
was actually born on
don't know.
Valentine's Day?
I assumed they meant the character, but I could be very wrong. It could be the character's birthday simply because the game first came out on Valentine's Day. That's a good piece of history that I don't know. Maybe we can look it up while we're talking. But yeah, the collection it is 4 to 6, as in Tomb Raiders 4 to 6 are in this collection. Last year, Kirk, you reviewed Tomb Raider one,
What?
2, 3 remastered.
Yep. Yep.
Yes, and I can't remember what you gave it, but you liked it, right? You gave it a fairly decent score, I thought, at
Yeah,
the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's I mainly because I just think they're fantastic games. I think Tomb Raider
Mhm.
2 is the best of the series. That alone is worth the price. One was interesting as it kind of found its way. And then three wasn't a far drop off from two. I don't think it was quite as good, but it was still a really good game. And they were
Mhm.
very well done on the Switch. I had some trouble. I'm so used to playing that game with a keyboard and mouse, and the controls were so easy and great on
Right.
that. It,
That's
it
nice.
took me a while to get used to the controller. Um, but oh yeah, it was cool because they have the ability to flip the graphics between the remastered and the standard versions.
Yes. I
Yeah,
do
and I
like
think I
that.
mentioned
Mm.
the standard versions made certain areas a lot easier because they weren't quite as dark. The lighting was a little more garish, we'll say, so it was easier to see like corner caves that you wouldn't have been able to otherwise. So being
Mhm.
able to flip between them on the fly was a fantastic feature that I utilized strategically.
Yes, indeed. And so how do you feel about 4 to 6? Are you as excited? I mean, if given the chance to review it, I assume you would. What's your experience with them in the past?
I've played them all.
Mhm.
Again, all of them on my Macintosh. Um, from the wonderful people at Aspire who are releasing them and are the ones who are putting out these collections too. Um, they're less memorable. I like them. They're still good games, and they all are true to the Tomb Raider formula. Whereas the newer games, I think, is it Eidos who's putting those out? Um, can't remember exactly.
Right.
I play that. They're like completely different games now that don't quite have the character of the originals. So
Mm.
if you're a fan of 1, 2, and 3, there's absolutely enough here. I would think to get 4, 5, and 6. You're just having some wonderful new adventures with Laura. Within the same scope.
Similar like style as in that third person adventure kind of.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, same
Okay.
style gameplay, same tone. I think there's even one, and again, I'm going really far back. I haven't looked at this series lately. There's
Well,
one where
there's
you play as different characters. I think you're not just
ah,
Laura, but you take over the role of somebody else at one point.
okay. Yeah.
Um, but I could be
Well,
wrong on that. Don't quote
th
me,
I
or
haven't.
any listeners can hop in and correct me at will.
Yes, please do. And they weren't called Tomb Raider 4, 5, and 6 at the time. Is that right? They were called Tomb Raider, I don't know, Curse of the Sword or The Prophecy. Are these ringing a bell? I don't know if these were, or The Angel
I,
of Darkness.
yes, I do. I certainly do remember the name Angel of Darkness.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they did have different, more elaborate naming scheme. And did one
Mm.
of them come out on the Wii?
Tomb Raider Underworld looks like. Oh, maybe Tomb Raider Anniversary as well. I'm not sure what that is, but yeah, it looks like there's a couple. Tomb
Okay,
Raider Underworld from 2008. Looks like it had a Wii release and a DS release. There you
okay,
go. Interesting. And the very first Tomb Raider looks like it came out in October, so it wasn't her birthday. That's not the reason for her birthday. I think it's literally Lara's birthday is set to be February 14th for some reason. But I'm seeing that in North America, it was released on the 14th of November, 1996, the very first Tomb Raider.
okay.
If Google's AI is telling me correct information.
I guess we'll have
That's
to
what I'm getting.
trust it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, happy Valentine's Day, by the way. And,
Oh
happy
yeah,
birth happy birthday to Laura. So yes, so 4 to 6 is out now on the Switch. Hopefully we'll get a chance to review it and give some more detailed thoughts on it. It would be really cool to get if you do get a chance to play it just because you have had that prior experience. Just like you had with the first 3, comparing them and seeing how it works, again, if the controllers make sense, if that flipping between the graphics. I assume these next 3, the graphics are slightly better than the original 3, but of course they're still 20-year-old games, right? So they're
yeah,
still not 2025 graphics. So yeah, be interesting to see how that translates, I suppose.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think as they went along, there were certainly fewer or smaller polygons.
Mm,
You
mhm,
know,
yes.
as we, I wonder, you know what, if we do get the review for this, I may turn this one over to Trevor if he's interested in it, because I know he
Mhm.
was a Tomb Raider fan too and had a lot to say
Mm,
as I was reviewing 1 through 3. So,
cool.
um,
Yes, that would be interesting
yeah.
also to get another person's perspective. Excellent. Anything else to add to Tomb Raider before we move on?
Not yet, as you said.
Nope.
Hopefully, we get a review copy and can dig in and talk about it more in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, hopefully, hopefully. The next piece of news is about a game that we've been waiting some time for, which is Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time. It finally has a release date, like an actual date, which is the 21st of May of this year, 2025. It's been kicked around, I think, since 2023. It was meant to launch. There was a launch window there that was pushed back to, was it summer 2024 or something? And then it was like October 2024 and then mid 2025, I think. Now we have a date. So that's nice. There's a new trailer to go alongside with this news. Quite a robust trailer. I think it's uh, I did watch it. Now I can't remember how long it was, like 6 minutes or something. It's pretty decent. If you're watching this, listening to this on YouTube or watching whatever, you will see some of the trailer while we're talking about it. But did you get a chance to look at the trailer yourself, Kirk?
No, no, I didn't. I do wonder if a trailer that's 6 minutes long, can we really still call that a trailer?
Yeah, yeah,
Like, isn't
no.
there like a defined cutoff at some point?
Yeah,
Um,
yes, I agree. That is a good point. This is more like an well, I suppose I'd call it an overview trailer or a. But yeah, you're right. Is it a trailer? I guess what is the definition of a trailer? Is that something that teases an upcoming thing, movie, game,
yeah,
show,
well,
whatever?
I don't even know if I would say teases because that's a teaser.
True,
or
true.
a teaser trailer. Yeah. So the short one is called the teaser, and then we have the trailer. Now we need an official name for the 6 minute
Yeah.
version.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
I
think
like
about that.
overview or preview
I
or
think
something like
overview,
that.
preview,
Yeah.
yeah, they're good terms, definitely. And that's what this is. It really does show a lot of what the game is about, which is nice if you're on the fence or you just didn't know. If you haven't played the previous entry, which is, quite a few years old now, so a lot of players won't have played it. Um, and this takes things in a not a new direction exactly, but it definitely expands on things. It seems like it's a very big game, which is probably why it's taken so long to release. It's called a slow life RPG. That's what they've said in the trailer. I've not heard that phrase before, or that term. Have you heard that before?
Do they mean cozy?
Yeah, I think they're just being cozy, honestly.
Okay.
Yes. I don't know why they call it slow life. Maybe that's a literal translation from the Japanese. The trailer's in Japanese with subtitles, but maybe that's a literal translation. They just mean cozy. So because to me, I was thinking about this afterwards, and you haven't seen the trailer, but it looks like Tears of the Kingdom crossed with Animal Crossing to me. Is
Yeah, I have the
yeah,
trailer up now, and I literally just had the exact same thought.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot of putting furniture in a house and building terrain like pathways to your house and that sort of thing. Very, very Animal Crossing. I'm not particularly interested in that side of it. I've done that enough. I don't need I don't need to buy another chair for my house. I'm sorry, that sounds really negative, but I'm just not super into that. I have a house that needs chairs. I just
Yeah.
in real life. I just yeah, it's cute. I get it. People love it. Go for it. Knock yourselves out. Build your grand house. I would be more interested in this other aspect, the Tears of the Kingdom aspect, if you want to call it that. And I'm saying that because it looks very Tears of the Kingdom. There's this thing called staring towers, which I don't know if you've seen that yet. If you're watching the trailer right now, Kirk, but they're like these weird eyes that look so Tears of the Kingdom. Like just it's phenomenally accurate. And the shrines as well, they look like little huts that have, like, this blue light. It's like, "Okay, what? You should you call them shrines? Should you maybe call them something else?" I don't know. Anyway, so that's fine, and it looks like it's got some combat. So the premise is you can choose 14 lives, they call it in the game, but they're jobs, really. They're jobs. You choose a job, and it could be a combat job, which means you go fighting monsters. Um, you pick up a sword, you learn how to wield it, etc. You level up, you get really good at that job. You can stick with that job or you can change jobs. I think there's some sort of chef job or a collector. I think they mentioned some sort of collecting type role in the trailer. And apparently you can switch on the fly, which is nice. So you can, I think in the first one you had to go somewhere and do something to change roles. In this one you can just switch automatically. So you can choose whether you want to just kind of master them all or master one. Um, I would probably be the type of person who will stick with one for a while, like level up a fair bit so I'm good at it, and then I'll try a new job. That'll probably be my style, I think.
Are you able
We
to carry abilities from one job over to the other? Is it that kind of thing, or you're literally just taking on something new, and all the work you've
mm,
done is now just kind of set aside?
don't know actually. I mean, the work I suppose is there, but I think you need to change roles to perform the tasks of that role. So if you wanted to cook something, I think you need to switch back to chef mode, which I don't
Okay.
know why. Wouldn't it just be, well, if I'm already a level 2 chef, I should be able to just cook this, right? I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Just
I'm not
have
sure.
a different outfit on while you're
Yeah.
at the oven.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I don't know, actually. I don't remember. It's so long since I played the original. I just don't know what I did back then. I remember having to walk back to the town a lot for some reason. I thought maybe I had to change roles there. Can't remember. Anyway, what I do like about this trailer, or about this game, I suppose, is that it does feature two-player co-op, which is really neat. Local co-op, sorry, I should say, and four-player online co-op, which is cross-platform. I do like
Okay.
that. I think that'll be cool. I think it'd be neat to play with friends, particularly the four-player online. I think that'll be really fun. You can go on adventures together. There are dungeons to explore, things to collect. Obviously, this is very big on collection, big on expanding your world, and building up your town or your house, whatever it might be. um, Lots of things to do and to find. So I do like that side of it. I think it'll be really fun to do that, to just hook up with people and have some fun. I think that's really neat, and it's cross-platform. They said cross-save as well, which I'm not sure what they meant by
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Oh, if you have both systems, you can play it on your Switch and then hop on your PlayStation and pick up the same game.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
Oh, why would someone have it twice? I don't know.
Yeah, I won't because you would have to buy it for each system,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, maybe it's out there. I suppose you know
yeah,
what? When they showed it in the trailer, they had an animation of somebody playing on a Switch in handheld mode on like the bus,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
sitting at home in front of the TV with a PlayStation 4. So,
yeah, that's it. Okay.
maybe that's the reason. Although why would you buy
I
it for your
don't
PlayStation? Just dock
know.
your Switch when you get home, and
Yeah. But hey, it's there. So if you do have
yes,
2 copies, you can play across.
yeah,
It's a cool feature. I'm not
yeah.
denying it. Is
So
it a cool
somebody
feature?
out there is going to go nuts that they can do
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
and more power to
Some
them.
yeah, some mega fan who buys it on every system will love the fact that they can do it on their Xbox and their PlayStation and their Switch. So and Steam, right? It's on PC as well. So
Yep.
yeah, go nuts. Absolutely. Love that for you. Um, for me, I'm very interested in trying it, that's for sure. I don't know how much this game it costs. Looks like there's a lot to do though. It definitely looks fun. I'm thinking about time investment
Yeah.
for me. It's a big time investment in this one, but it really looks neat. It's very cute, of course. And certainly, like I said, there's a lot to do. What were you going to say? Sorry.
I do have the cost in front of me here.
Oh, okay.
The standard edition in US dollars will be $59.99.
Hmm.
There is a digital deluxe edition, which is download only, and that is
Mm,
$69.99.
right. That's so it's pretty pricey, really. I suppose,
Yeah,
like a
it's
first
it's
party game.
definitely a top tier A
Yeah,
level pricing. Yeah.
yeah. But as I said, there is a lot to do. So
Yeah.
if you're into this, I mean, May looks like it's going to coincide a little with Switch 2. So, I mean, maybe we don't know. Switch 2 might not be out till August. We don't know, but um, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens as the time comes. I'm definitely curious, definitely interested. Uh, yeah, it certainly, yeah, has a lot going for it. Um, we'll see how we go closer to that date. Hopefully, it does make its. I think now that it has an actual specific 21st of May release date, it's likely that that will happen. I don't think they're going to push that back anymore. So yeah, let us know, listeners, if you're interested in this title, Fantasy Life. I am glad it finally has a date. I was excited about this, you know, 2 years ago when it first was announced because I really did like the first one. It really was fun. I enjoyed it a lot. So hence I am interested in this. We'll see how I get. My feelings change when I get closer to May. Let's move on to our next piece of news, which is that Warriors Abyss was shadow dropped. Can you tell us about that? Okay.
Yeah, this is a surprising announcement that was announced pretty much the day the game became available. I believe it's
Hmm.
from Koei Tecmo's Warriors series, Samurai Warriors, Dynasty Warriors, those games, the one versus 1,000 Mushu, I believe it's pronounced,
Mm. Mhm.
battling, except it's more like it's crossed with Vampire Survivors.
Ooh.
The premise is that you've been called into this underworld. It's kind of like this hellish world where with randomly generated floors. So we're also talking kind of roguelike elements here, and you're taking the battle down and having the same kind of fights, but it's got sort of the same perspective as Vampire Survivors, and you're just fighting these waves of enemies that are coming at you. Whereas in the Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors games, they're more a third person perspective
Mm, mhm.
kind of game, but sort of like on the level instead of looking at them from above. And the fighting comes in pockets. You fight a group of say 50 to 100 people at once, and you have these moves where you can obliterate them all instantly. Um, and this one, it looks like they're just coming and coming. And as you go along, you're acquiring new weapons, you're acquiring new abilities, and most importantly, new characters
Mhm.
from the Warriors games. So then once you have them and you go back in, you're able to decide, okay, I'm taking this person now. I'm taking this person because you've unlocked them and they may have abilities that'll
Mm.
help you get through. So it looks like the Warriors games themselves, absolutely bonkers
It
from an
does look
action
bonkers.
perspective. Um, The graphics look really good. If you're used to a certain look for your Warriors games, you can rest assured that that's still there. It's just, from
Mm.
a different perspective, and there will be a lot of familiar faces, a lot of whom I recognize. So, looking forward to trying this. I'm happy to say we did just get a review code for this game.
Nice. That's good.
So yeah, that's my weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's a fun announcement. I've enjoyed the Warriors series. I've enjoyed when they've mashed it up with Fire Emblem and when they mashed it
Mm.
up with Zelda, for
Mhm.
example.
Mhm.
But those have been more true to style Warriors games, just with a different character set. This one puts a completely unique spin on the one versus a thousand gameplay, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it does. I've only dabbled in the Warrior series, but I've really enjoyed what I've played. I think it was the Zelda one actually. And yeah, it's just crazy. And you're right, it does have that Vampire Survivors. I haven't really made that connection before, but Vampire Survivors is basically one versus a thousand as well in a sense, isn't it?
And on
Hordes
and on and on,
and on
one
and on.
versus
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
20,000.
Yes. This looks neat. Yeah, I do like the perspective, that kind of down isometric down view looks really cool. Yeah, that should be fun. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on that one. I wonder why they just shadow dropped it like that.
Yeah, completely out of nowhere. I was very surprised. And
Mm.
I like those kind of surprises. So bring it
Yeah.
on, Koei Tecmo.
Yes. Very nice. Excellent. It looks like it's 24.99 for the standard, which is nice. But then there's this digital hack and slash edition, which is 79.99. What the heck is going on there? What is-
Well, I do know, I haven't looked at that. I should have pulled that up. You may be able to confirm this. The Warriors games are very into allowing you to purchase DLC for different costumes and weapons
Mm,
so you can
mhm.
dress the Warriors accordingly. I'm assuming that's a lot of it.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Okay. It is 200 costumes in
okay.
the ultimate version. Their costume sets. Yeah, there's a lot, as well as items. Yeah. So there's a lot in that. It's obviously a big
Yeah.
pack.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
understand that for the main games because you're so
Hmm.
close to the action and the characters, but this one you're kind of removed from them. I can't imagine the costumes would make that much of a difference, but
Yeah, that's a good
we'll
point.
see. Yeah.
Hmm. Very interesting. Excellent. Well, yeah, let us know, listeners, if you, I was going to say players. Let us know, players. Let us know, listeners, if you're into
Well,
this.
they're
Into,
players too.
they're players, player listeners.
Yeah.
If you're into Warriors, if you've tried the new Abyss game, Kirk will be reviewing it. So we'll see how he goes with that. The next item, which could be under games we're playing, to be honest, because I have tried this one, but it is a news item as well. It is a new addition to Switch Online, which we've been getting fairly regular updates lately, which has been great. And this is a Game Boy Advance title, and it's Wario Land 4. Uh, I, I just, I, how do I say this? I have tried this game. It is also bonkers, which I'm sure is to be expected with Wario. I don't have a whole lot of history with Wario Land, which I realize I don't know why that is. I love Mario. I love platformers. I love Mario platformers. I know Wario is a platformer person as well, in some ways. I know he's got a bunch of games. Didn't realize there were 8 of them. I went digging. I fell down a bit of a rabbit hole here. There are 8 Wario platformers. Did you know that? There are 8? Yeah.
I You could have asked me and I wouldn't have even told you there was one.
There you
My
go.
apologies to everybody. When I think Wario, I think of WarioWare.
Yes,
Um,
yes. I think, yeah, that's probably what he's more famous for, and because there are
yeah,
new releases of WarioWare, we still see them. I think there are 2 WarioWare games on the Switch. So there are more recent games. There hasn't been a Wario platformer since 2008. When I saw Wario Land 4 was out, I'm like, "Oh, there was a 4th one? Okay." I don't even remember that being a thing. Um, so yes, but it's really fun. It is actually really fun. I have dabbled in the platformers previously. This one I hadn't played before, so I just jumped in and gave it a go. And it's great. He's not invincible. Apparently, he's invincible in some of the other ones, in the early ones. He's not invincible in this one, but he does this kind of rush attack where he shoulder charges his enemies and bashes into them. But this is the premise. Are always bonkers. But there's some pyramid in the middle of the jungle that's appeared, and it's full of treasure, of course. And Wario wants the treasure. That's his thing. He loves his gold. Um, it's scored 88% on Metacritic. The earlier platformers, 1 to 4 especially, tend to score very well. They're quite well received games. I was even looking at the sales; they sold really well. They were in the top, you know, 30 sort of charts for their systems, like the game back in the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance kind of days. So they were actually really well received. The later games, which became, I think there was one 3D platformer in a similar style to Super Mario 64, I think. And then there was one, oh, maybe two on the Wii, which was the last one in 2008. Kind of not as well received, but still generally okay, like 70-ish, let's say 60 to 70 Metacritic, something like that. It did make me think maybe we're due for another Wario Land. I don't know. I don't know. I would like to see something new and fresh from the Wario series, but anyway, back to this one. He shoulder charges his enemies. There's a very strong puzzle element in this game. It's kind of like each level has it's not just a left to right platformer, sort of like Mario, I suppose. Not like that. There are elements of that, but you're really going into different rooms. You're going into different areas. You're trying to solve little puzzles. Like there's a shape that you have to put into another shape. Like you have to pick up a triangle and throw it into the triangle shape to open a door, kind of thing. So there's a little bit of that side of stuff to it. Um, there's, you've got to remove blocks, for example, to get to things. You have to find the exit when you get to the I don't know. There's some sort of checkpoint that you get to. You hit this thing. I don't know what it is. This blue thing, and then there's a countdown that starts, and you have like a minute or 3 minutes, whatever it is, to get to the actual exit. It's like this spirally. I guess it's like a vortex, like a dimensional. I don't know, a portal. Let's say. Anyway, it's a little strange, but it's fun. It's really fun. Um, Wario can run really fast. He can bash things. He can jump on enemies. There's a few things he can do, and later on, you become he's also well known for having different costumes. Similar in a way to Mario, I guess. Mario, he has his Tanuki outfit, he has his cape, he has the frog outfit, whatever. Um, Warriors are a bit more extreme. I think in this one, he can be a vampire, he can be a zombie, different things like that, because I guess it's this ancient Egypt feel to it. Not sure where vampires fit into ancient Egypt, but I guess vampires are ancient. Anyway, point is, it's quite fun. Love to know if listeners are enjoying this as much as I am. But I was going to ask if you had an experience, but it sounds like you haven't because you didn't even know there was Wario platformers before today. Is that right?
I haven't, but I think the way you described it makes it sound like something I might enjoy more than the Mario games.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah,
different.
more my style game. And
Mm.
I don't know how he got this purple car into Egypt.
Yeah, no.
It's a pretty slick
Yeah,
ride for the desert.
yeah. Yeah, the intro shows that he's driving along with his yeah purple car, which is crazy. He's a character. He's such a character. I feel like it would have been so fun to make this because they've kind of I was trying to think of an analogy where Mario is like your clean cut, Clark Kent type of person. Like he's the good guy. He's like Superman, right? And maybe Wario's like Batman. He's dark. I don't know if that's a really good analogy, but the point is Mario's like clean and cute and he's fun and happy. And Wario's just like this anti-hero where it's just uh evil. He's not bad at all. He does like to steal gold, I guess, but he's just it's like they could do all the things with Wario that they probably couldn't do with Mario. Like we can't really make a vampire Mario, I don't think, in a game. That might be a bit too far. But let's just see what Wario is like as a vampire. I don't know. Or a zombie.
Well, I think what I want to see now is take the Mario and Luigi RPGs and give me a Wario and Waluigi team up. I think those two together for an
Oh
entire game
yeah.
could be joyful.
Yes. That is something that's missing. Yes.
Yeah,
Where is our Wario and Waluigi team up
yeah.
game? My
Because
gosh,
they're more
how
interesting, right? They're not. They're Mario, for as great as he is kind of a stick in the mud.
Yes, I can't believe no one's thought of that. Nintendo needs to do that. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Waluigi doesn't even have a game, right? He doesn't have
I
his
don't
own
think so. Yeah,
thing. He's
not of his own.
yeah. So he needs to do something. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Let's see what happens with the Switch
yeah.
2.
Give me a cross country buddy adventure with those two. I'm totally on board.
Yeah. I love it. Let's move on to our last piece of news for the week before we head to the games we're playing. And this is just an update for the Nintendo Music app, the streaming app, which has now got Golden Sun on it, which is the RPG from the Game Boy Advance, also, actually. Now, this was released, the soundtrack was just released. Every Monday, there's new music hitting the app. The game is available on Nintendo Switch Online. We talked about this last year, didn't we?
Mhm.
I believe, Gone 1 and 2. I played the original back in the day, really liked it. I gave the soundtrack a listen, it's really nice, it's really neat. It's kind of pretty it's really close to being retro because of the Game Boy Advance, right? Wasn't the most advanced in terms of audio, but it's not Game Boy, it's not like chip tunes. So it has a really neat kind of nostalgic feel to it, I suppose, from that perspective. It's a decent soundtrack. I think it had 55 or so tracks, a couple of hours worth of music. I'm going to ask the question I ask every week: was this the soundtrack to get you onto Nintendo Music, Kirk? It
Not yet, although I've been told that it is a really good one. I remember
is a
when
good
I
one.
was reading reviews of this game and considering picking it up a while back that people
Mm.
had many great things to say about the soundtrack.
Yeah, it is really nice. It's really good. I had listened to it quite a few times during the week while I was working. Definitely can recommend. If you haven't checked it out, go ahead and do so. If you've got Switch Online, it's a free app, so it's there for the taking. Um, let's move on to the games we're playing because we have three in our list. I only have one this week, sadly. Well, I mean, Wario
Yep.
was kind of one. Wario Land 4, which I'm just like, I was surprised how much fun I had with that. I'm like, I should have played this. I should have played this back in the day. Oh well, I can play
All
it
right.
now,
You've
so that's
sold
good.
me.
Yeah, I don't know if there are other Wario Land games on the Switch Online. I didn't see any listed there. I don't know why they went with 4, but I don't believe 1, 2, and 3 are there. I think 1 and 2 at least are on the Game Boy, so they'd be in a different section. Anyway, I might check. I might check that out. But what I am playing this week for review is a game called Luck Be a Landlord, which some people may have heard of. I think you got the review code for this, and I'm doing the review. Like generated the code or got it from the
Yep.
supplier. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you know about it, but I had heard of it because I've been playing Balatro of late, um, which is a roguelike card game, like poker game. This is a similar style in terms of I think we need a new genre. Maybe there is one, probably on the internet there is one. It's like a gambling roguelike or something like that. Like this is a slot machine roguelike where you're trying to pay the rent, basically. It's a very simple premise, much like Balatro. There's no super
Trying to play
heavy,
the rent through slot machine winnings.
pretty much, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Well, sorry.
I know, not the best message to send to people that you need to earn your rent money via slot machines. It's a little more gambly than Balatro, for example. I don't feel like Balatro encourages gambling. I actually don't, because it's like poker, but it's very much about the jokers, which have these really crazy, abilities, and you're earning so little money for each run. Like you get or each hand, I should say. You get like $5 each hand, and you use that to buy more jokers, basically. So I don't feel like Balatro is very gambly. I don't feel the need to gamble after playing Balatro. This one, I don't know. I'm not a gambler. I actually hate gambling, so I don't know if people will feel the need to. But it is a slot machine. What is cool though is it's very simple interface. The user interface is very very simple. It's neat though. It's kind of retro, and you get an email at the start from your landlord saying, "Hey, welcome to your new apartment. You owe over $25 rent. Um, you get a free slot machine with your apartment. You can use it to earn coins, and you have 4 spins to earn you $25 or something like that. And so you spin, and on comes all these little cute little icons. There's cherries, there's cats, there's cheese. There's just, I mean, there must be hundreds. I don't know. There's heaps. And you earn some coins. And then you get $25. The email comes, your rent is due, and you pay the rent. Then it says, oh, your rent's gone up, now it's $50 and you have 5 spins or something like that. And so you have 5 spins and you try to earn $50. And every time it goes up, I can't remember the order, but it's like 75, 100. I think it might even be 25, 50, 100, maybe 150, 200, 300, 350. It just goes up and up and up. And every time you got to earn more coins. How do you do that? Well, every time you spin, literally every spin after you spin it, you get given a choice of 3 upgrades or 3 additions to your slot machine, and this is the roguelike part of it. So you might get to add the cat icon if you don't already have it. And if the cat is next to the cheese icon, the cheese is destroyed and the cheese will give you bonus coins or something like that. That's the idea. So you got to choose one of these 3 items and kind of upgrade your slot machine, so to speak. Yeah, that's the premise. It's pretty simple. It's it's pretty fun. Like I've played it 4 times, maybe? It's not very long. It's not like Blatro. Blatro takes a long time to actually get through the whole run. Like, it takes a good you need a solid half an hour. I mean, unless you die early on. To get to the end, I would say 30 to 60 minutes, honestly. Maybe it's because I'm, like, analyzing it going, "Oh, which Joker do I want? Oh, which hand I'm gonna play here?" This one is just like, you pick an icon, you spin. You pick an icon, you spin. It's very quick. So you can play a game in like 5 minutes, right? It's very, very quick. Um, which in a way it makes it easier to play again because you're like, you get up to 300, you only have 280, so you lose. Like, oh, you can't afford the rent. Bad luck. You're out. So you go back to the beginning and try again. You're like, oh, okay, maybe I'll just try one more time. But that's very gambly, isn't it? That's like the whole gambling. Just one more,
Oh
right?
yeah, they hook
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
You get the
Yeah. Yeah.
fever.
The viewer. Exactly. So that's dangerous. Um, I think it's rated, is it 10 plus or something? And it does mention something like gambling, uh, something to do with gambling. I can't remember.
Oh yeah,
Um,
gambling themes.
yeah, gambling themes. Yeah. I mean, it
Yeah, I
is
don't know
fun.
how serious you could take this though. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
it looks
Because
like it's got a pretty good sense of humor about
it
it, and
does. Like the
so
landlord, the
it.
emails are very funny. Like it's from Landy McLandlord or something, I think is
Oh
the
yeah,
email.
well, yeah, another one where your job was dictated the moment you were given your name.
Yeah. Yeah, it is quite funny, and it's very cute. Like I said, there's a cat, and there's a mouse, there's a monkey, there's a sloth, there's a milk that the cat can drink. There's the cutest one though is an egg, which has a 10% chance of becoming a chick, which has a 10% chance of becoming a chicken. So when you get the egg, sometimes it'll hatch and a little chick is there, and you might get bonus coins for that. So it's fun. It is fun. I will say, I do enjoy this. It is actually really and the music is great. I have to call out the soundtrack. Speaking of soundtracks earlier, it's really good. I don't know what it is about the soundtrack, but it's really upbeat. It's lively. It changes occasionally. Um, it's got a retro vibe to it, but it's not it's not super retro. It's just a really good balance. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Apart from that, it sits very well in the background. Makes you feel like you're having a fun. It's a positive atmosphere. You're trying to beat the landlord, and the other thing is you are trying to beat the landlord. That's the goal. And this evil landlord keeps putting the rent up. Someone is helping you. Someone emails you sporadically and gives you an item to help. They're like, "Hey, we're trying to help you with this business of this evil landlord. Fight the power kind of thing. Here's an icon to help you." So because apart from the slot machine icons, you can get these little power-ups that go in the top of the screen that might give you 1 coin every turn, just 1 coin every turn, or it might give you more than that. It might give you an extra double coins if you get 3 in a row or something. Like, there's little power-ups, I guess you could call them. Um, yeah. So, it's fun. I'm gonna review it. I'll write up my review during the week and post it on the website. We'll see what I think. I don't know. It's gonna be hard to rate this, honestly. It's fun though. I will say it is fun. I can see why people are addicted to it, and it's pretty well made, so it probably will get a decent review, I'd say, at this point. But I'll give it some more love and write up my thoughts. Did you have any more questions for me about Luck Be a Landlord?
Yeah, I think first I feel like whoever is supplying the help to you should actually be the Department of Housing and cracking down on
Mm.
this fellow for illegally raising your rent when you can't
Yeah,
do that,
like every week.
or move to a rent stabilized community, I suppose.
Yeah.
Um, it says on the eShop that there are 20 levels to climb. Does that mean after you beat him once,
Ooh.
you're going to another? Yeah, actually, it says ascend through the floors of your apartment building. So I guess if you beat him once, you get to get a higher rent apartment further up the building and try again.
All right. Well, I've never beaten the landlord, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, let
Um,
me know. Let me
yeah,
know what
I
the view's
will.
like when you get to the top.
That's interesting. I wonder if it's like Balatro where because Balatro has a run, you have to get through 8 kind of rounds, and each round has 3 hands. That's why it takes so long. And I've only beaten it like twice, Balatro. I've got to the end a bunch of times and I just miss out. I'm like, no, this one, I don't know how many rounds you have. I got up to 300 a few times, like $300, and I didn't make it. I beat that once, and then it was 350, I think. And then I think I beat that and I got to 400, and then I couldn't get that amount. So that's as far as I've got. So I'll keep trying and see if I can beat it. I think I just need to be strategic about. I noticed, I don't know, because I'm just buying icons every time, right? And so then my slot machine is full of all these random icons. They'll give me a coin, more or less, and I might get 30 coins per round, but you only get like 8 rounds to get $400. So you need to, there's obviously a tactic where you need to maybe eliminate some of the icons so you've only got a certain few, so that it's better that they sit next to each other and destroy certain icons that then give you more coins. Like you get lots of bonuses. There's a key that if it's next to a chest, it will open the chest and there's money in the chest. I can't remember the amount. So it's I think there's a strategy about that. I don't know how best to do that. I might need to look up a guide for help. It's a bit like Bellatrix again. I'm comparing it a lot to Bellatrix, but I didn't know what the heck I was doing when I started Bellatrix. And then I realized that it's all about the jokers. You need to kind of utilize them and sell them and buy better ones or whatever. So we'll see. Yeah, it's not super expensive. It's sort of $15. Probably thought it might be 10, but you know, when I work out the tactics, I didn't realize there were 20 levels to climb. So it seems like there's actually a lot more to this than meets the eye. So we'll see how we go as we play. Yes, but it's interesting.
Okay.
Definitely interesting.
It also
And I,
kind of looks to me like it would be a good mobile game. I'm
yeah,
looking
I
it up
think
in the App Store now to see if it's available there.
I believe it is. I'm not sure if that's how it started life, but I'm fairly certain it is on mobile devices. So I don't know if this is a port or if it's also on Steam. I'm not sure, but yeah, uh, it could be that this is like a new trend of games where we're taking something, real lifey like poker or slot machines, and then putting a roguelike spin on it. So yeah, I like the idea. I like
Yep.
something fresh. Combining two genres is always cool. Um, I would never play a slot machine game, but this is fun. So, I'm not very good at poker either, but Balatro is very fun. It's very addictive. Yeah. So I don't know if this is a trend that we'll see. It's like when you go to the movies and suddenly there's multiple movies about I don't know, tornadoes or something. Or do you know what I mean? There's always like more than one. It's like someone made a tornado movie and then someone else had to make another one. Like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll try to capitalize on the momentum, the
yeah,
temporary
yeah,
momentum of the tornado.
yes,
Sure.
yeah, exactly. So yes, we shall see. But would you like to talk about what you are playing this week?
Yeah, the first game I'll talk about is one I've started reviewing. I'll have the review up early next week. This is a game coming out on February 20th called X-Out Resurfaced. If that sounds familiar, it's because it was originally released in 1990 for the Amiga.
Uh,
Um,
cool.
it's a shooter. It's a side-scrolling shooter, and one of the more interesting things about this is it takes place underwater. It's an undersea kind of thing. So unlike most shooters, which are usually war-based or outer space-based, this one you're piloting one of your choice of submarines and taking on extremely difficult challenges as you kind of navigate it through these underwater mazes, fighting a multitude of enemies that are coming at you from all sides.
Sounds cool.
It's interesting. It still has kind of it's remastered, obviously, so it's got kind of an updated look, but it retains a lot of the charm of the 1990 graphics. The cool thing too is that you can switch between the soundtracks. There's a remastered soundtrack, and then there's let's see what they officially call them here. Well, I can't find it, but there's one that is the initial Amigos soundtrack, and then another one that had a different name, all of which are pretty cool sounding. I couldn't decide which one I preferred to listen to, so I just kept switching them, around
Right.
with each
Yeah.
run and enjoyed them all equally. There's 2-player couch co-op, so you can join with someone else,
Nice.
which I would actually recommend because one of the other cool things about it is when you start, you get to pick your uh, submarine that you start with, and they cost different amounts, and you have a certain amount of money available to you. So if you pick the more expensive one, it comes with a lot of great power ups. That's cool, but then you don't have as much to spend on your own power ups that you get to pick from. So if you buy the cheaper sub, then you get more money to develop it the way you want it to work as you go in. and that makes subsequent playthroughs better because, first you hop in, you just go with whatever they give you. You get a feel for it, find out what your weaknesses are, where are they attacking you from, where you're not able to defend as well. Then you can go back and say, you know what, this accessory right here is going to help me get those guys on the, I say ground, we're underwater, I guess, the surface. What do you call the seabed? Okay, we'll go
Yeah.
seabed. From down below. So yeah, there's an awful lot to customize, to work through. It's one of those games where you get pretty far and then you die and you're like, you know what, I got to do this again, and so you'll hop back in and play it a little bit, and then not get nearly as far. So at
Yeah.
least, if you're like me, you just get lucky sometimes and progress further than you actually would. So
Mm.
it does what it needs to to distinguish itself from other games in this genre. I don't know, like offhand with my group of friends, I can't think of a certain person that owned the Amiga. So I don't know what the nostalgia is for it. Obviously a lot of people did. Uh, so I'm not looking at it from a nostalgic standpoint so much as
Mm.
it's another throwback game that I've never played, but is unique enough to be worth my time as I've been playing
Mm.
it. So I'll play through it some more this weekend, wrap up the review, and then have that up um, early next week.
Cool. Yeah, because the game's not even out yet. It comes out on the 21st of February. So next Friday, this Friday, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And it's 10% off
No,
if
that would
you
be Thursday here, the 20th. Did you say 20th or 21st?
21st. Sorry, 21st.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Sorry, I'm not on the right page.
Yeah, that's okay. And it's 10% off at the moment by the looks of it. Oh, sorry. My bad. It is the 20th. The sale ends on the 21st. It does come out on
Oh,
Thursday.
yes.
You're correct. I was looking at the
Yeah.
sale date. The sale ends on the 21st. You could get 10% off.
Okay.
Looks pretty fun. Like this looks like a classic shooter style where it's like side scrolling left to right and you're shooting enemies in front of you. Is that right? But from a submarine, not a plane, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In front of you, above you, below you.
Right.
Enemies come at you in many different directions, and
Yeah.
the enemies are kind of cool too. Like it's not like just you're underwater taking on other submarines. There's all kinds of different things coming at you, whether little people or giant fish. Um, this cruel things happen at sea, so
Yeah.
you're taking them all on.
Very cool. And I like the title, Resurfaced, because it's obviously a remaster, and that's a good way
Yeah.
to say it's a submarine game. It's
Yep.
Resurfaced. Yeah, I like that. It's cool. It's a nice way
Yeah,
to.
I don't know what X-Out has to do with, is that some kind of nautical term I'm
Yeah.
not
I
aware
don't
of?
know.
But,
No. I'm just thinking back in the day when this game came out, X-Out. I'd be like, what is that? Like, it's not like you can tell from the title what it is, like even the type of game that it is. Yeah. So I don't know how
maybe
well.
that was in the 90s when everybody was all extreme and extreme
Yeah.
sports were coming out and
Yes.
we had to put the letter X in front of everything. Maybe that was the
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah. Yes. I think you're right. Definitely. Thank you. That does sound good. I look forward to your review. And what else are you playing this week?
Well, I have to bring this up because once again, as I'm looking for games to play, um, pushing towards the release of the Switch 2. I mentioned that with Vanbrace Cold Soul, I went back to a game that I reviewed a long time ago,
Hmm.
and found that I enjoyed it much more the second time than the first time. So this is a game I went back to because you may recall, I was wondering whether to play Etrian Odyssey
Yes.
HD on the
Hmm.
Switch and bought it and couldn't get into it. And I'll
Yeah.
eventually give that another shot. But this is that kind of game. It's what I think they call a DRPG, where you've got a map and you're block by block moving throughout a dungeon and
Mm-hmm.
taking on enemies in turn-based battles and uncovering elements of the dungeon and having to get keys to progress and running into traps. Um, I can't remember how long ago I reviewed this game. It looks like it came out in 2021. So we'll say then it came out as a package released by NIS America, I believe,
Hmm.
with another game called Stranger of Sword City. And both of those were PSP games, I believe, that were re-released in this package on the Switch. Um, and again, like before, I'm enjoying it quite a bit more this time because I've gotten deeper into this type of game. I understand them a little bit more.
Hmm. can see that it's on sale as well, though. It is 65% off at the moment, which ends on the 24th of February. So
Yes.
17.49, which is pretty good for 2 games, right?
Yeah, because $50 for the two of them. I mean, that's a. I won't say it's not worth it. You get two really good games, very time consuming.
Mm.
That will take, and they're like completely different too. They're both DRPGs, but they take a different approach to it. They both got completely different tones. Like I said, eventually I'll move on to Stranger of Sword City. Right now, I'm still pushing through Saviors of Sapphire Wings. I think I've spent maybe 20 hours on the game so far, and I haven't even gotten through to, like, I believe I have 2.5 complete worlds yet that I have to explore.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it's fun if you're into that kind of game, say like Etrian Odyssey, or as I mentioned, my personal favorites, Labyrinth of Galeria or Labyrinth of Moon Society. Um, then it's a good game to pick up and play while you're waiting for something new to come along.
Right.
In those regards.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it sounds cool. Like you, I haven't gotten into those. What are they? DRPGs? Does the D stand for dungeon?
Yeah, I think so, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's this type of game. It's just like a
Hmm.
dungeon crawling RPG.
Right.
But if I call these dungeon crawlers, there are a multitude of style of games that are called dungeon crawlers that don't have
Yes.
this first person point of view look as you explore the
Mm,
dungeon, and the
hmm.
map is drawn out
Yeah.
as you progress.
Yeah. I did get into dungeon crawlers a little while ago, but not so much the Etrian Odyssey style of DRPGs where it's like, yeah, that first person, room by room. Maybe I need to try it again as well, honestly. But yeah, it's just different, isn't it? But it's cool. We love different. We love that there's
Yeah.
variety. When you reviewed it, did you have a preference? Did you review this collection or you just reviewed Saviors?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
And did you
I reviewed it.
prefer one to the other, like Saviors of Sapphire Wings over Stranger of Sword City?
I believe I don't even know if we should say this on the air, but our website hasn't been working, so I wasn't able to look up
All
look
right.
up my previous review to find out. Um,
Technical issues, yes.
yeah, I like
Well,
the look of Stranger of Sword City better, and the story's a little bit more mature and somber. Both of them are actually, they're not. I won't say they're depressing because they're not at all, but they're kind of serious
mhm.
stories. Saviors of Sapphire Wings is a little bit lighter. Um,
Yeah.
but Savior of Sapphire Wings is easier to get into. Like if you're new to this, it's easier to pick up on the gameplay. Stranger of Sword City just kind of drops you into this genre and expects you to know what to do with your party management and the setup.
Mm,
Savior of Sapphire Wings slowly introduces you to new characters and abilities, so it's easier to get the hang of things.
that's
Which is
cool.
why I started here with this one instead of going into Stranger of Sword City first.
Yeah. And are they related? Are they is Stranger of Sword City a sequel? Like why are they packaged
Nope.
this way? They're just
Two completely separate games with somewhat
okay.
similar gameplay styles. I think.
They're just from the same developer or
Yeah,
something. Yeah, okay. Right. Okay. Interesting.
yeah,
Cool.
it's cool. And the funny thing about this too is I had a thought as I was doing this. Is completely
Mm.
unrelated to Nintendo, but the very first game I played along these lines was called Dungeons and Dragons: Treasure of Tarman
Hmm.
for the Intellivision back in the early '80s.
Right.
Was the first time. I don't even know if that was the first game that did this, but as far as like square by square, moving through a dungeon, opening doors, running into enemies, and fighting them in turn based combat. Until I was playing this game at one point, it had never occurred to me that the first game I played like this was all the way back then. And I loved that game back then.
Oh wow. There you
So
go.
I think that made me a fan, and then I completely lost sight of it until I played Labyrinth of Galeria.
Yeah. The penny dropped. And it's yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
The bell
cool.
rung.
Yeah, the bell.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so it harkens back to the day, yeah, your earlier gaming days. That's really
Yeah,
neat.
back to my childhood. When everyone else is harkening back to the NES or the SNES, I go back to the Intellivision and
Yeah,
recall that. But that would be a great game for somebody to remake and release on the Switch
the
now.
Dungeons and Dragons one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Bring back Treasures of Tarman, update the graphics, and let me play through that again.
I'm
wild
surprised,
game.
they had the movie, was it last year or the year before, the Dungeons& and Dragons movie? That would have been
Yeah,
the perfect time to there may have been a tie-in game, but that would have been the perfect time if people were into it to kind of
yeah.
look at those older
Although
games.
I think they lost the license
Oh,
because
yeah.
the first Dungeons and Dragons game for the Intellivision is now called Cloudy Mountain or something like that. They completely dropped the Dungeons and Dragons
Okay.
moniker from it in all
Right.
of like the re-releases and systems that they put out.
Oh, yeah. It's like Charles Barkley not being in that sports game that Trevor was
Yeah,
playing.
exactly.
We don't have the rights to him anymore. Oh, well,
Yeah,
that's
maybe they
okay.
should combine those. Charles Barkley's Treasures of Tarman.
Now we're getting somewhere. We've got the output of this show is Wario and Waluigi go on an adventure together, and
Yep.
Charles Barkley's treasure.
Yeah.
What was it? Treasures.
Treasures of Tarman. We need that Charles
Torment.
Barkley sponsored DRPG now.
Yes. Some excellent ideas there. Thank you. Anything else you'd like to add before we close things off for the week?
No, I think I've gotten us off track enough already.
It's what makes it interesting. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining me again this week. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. We love putting the shows together. We hope you get something out of them too. We'd love to know your thoughts. Please leave us a review if you're on the audio platforms or on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up. It means a lot. It really, really does. Thank you. We appreciate it. And if you'd like to catch more of our news and reviews, you can head on over to our website, purenintendo.com. We're also on social media. You can catch us at Blue Sky, doing the rounds over there. And we also put together a regular magazine, a printed magazine that you can be a part of and get yourself a copy of. If you'd like to support us, please head on over to patreon.com/Pure Nintendo to be on the mailing list and get yourself a copy in the mail.
I have an update too on the magazine before we close off.
Oh, okay. Do we have
Yeah,
them?
they're not yet. They're going to arrive at my shipping station, which is my house, at on February 20th. So we will turn
Nice.
those around quickly, and they should go out within a day or two after that.
Brilliant. That's exciting. Yes. Cannot wait to get them out into your hands. Thank you, Kirk, for the update. Love it. Thank you, everyone. Until next week. Game on, everybody. Bye.